Hi, guys. Welcome to Parawoman Radio. I'm Amy. During the interview with the CBI agent Lauren Arnold revealed that she had known Shanann Watts since they were children and had remained close friends throughout their lives. She shared intimate details about Shanann's marriage to Chris Watts, expressing her shock and disbelief at the tragic events that unfolded. Lauren recalled how Shanann had confided in her about the struggle in her relationship with Chris, but never could have imagined it would end in such a horrific way. As the interview continued, Lauren provided valuable insights into Shanann's personality and character, painting a picture of a devoted mother and loving wife who was fiercely protective of her family. She described how Shanann had always put her children first and worked tirelessly to provide for them despite facing challenges in their marriages. Through tears and heartfelt memories, Lauren recounted the last time she spoke to Shanann before she disappeared and expressed her deep sorrow over losing her friend in such a senseless manner. The interview with the CBI not only shed light on the dynamics of Shanann, but also shed light on the dynamics of Shanann and Chris. And we're going to get into that today on Parawomen Radio. Before we start, if we could start that algorithm dance party, just start moving your fingers up the keyboard to the like and thumbs up button. Just start pressing it like nobody's watching, but everybody's watching. Or not everybody's watching, the algorithm's watching. I'm trying to do two things at once and read comments, but the algorithm's always watching. It's just a free way to help my channel out, and it's really appreciated. So I'm going to get my screen ready for the interview. Recently, I heard an updated interview that she gave, and I kind of wanted to listen to the old interview because I couldn't even quite remember what she had said in the first interview. So we're going to go right back to the first interview and listen to that. Let me get everything together and share my screen. Hold on one second, you guys. I'm not seeing it. Oops, not that. Okay. Okay, let me see if this is it.
Oakley. That's where
Oh,
they're
yeah.
named now.
Okay. And can I get your address again?
Yep, it's 199 Idalia, Idalia Court, apartment 3205, Aurora 80011.
Oops. 8001.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And what's your date of birth?
9/16/85.
You had a birthday coming up here.
Yeah.
Happy early birthday.
Well, thank you.
Okay. How long have you known Shanann?
Since 99.
Okay.
So,
How did you guys meet?
We met in high school. We grew up in the same town. Well, I guess we didn't grow up in the same town, but we're from the same town.
Oh, where's it from?
Pinehurst, North Carolina.
Okay.
I think they moved there somewhere around our freshman year.
Okay.
So I met
So
her.
it would have been, that was 99 when you met her?
Mhm.
So when they moved there?
I think so. I don't know exactly when they moved to North Carolina, but I know I met her our freshman year, which was in 99.
Okay. And were you guys fast friends?
Yeah, I mean, we stayed really good friends all throughout high school, so for the whole 4 years. And then,
So I'm pretty sure that Shanann's freshman year they moved to North Carolina, and so Lauren is saying that they actually met that year. So
after
they
we
would have
left,
been
we lost
they would have been like what? How old are you in your freshman year of high school? Is that 13? 13, 14? I think I was 13.
contact for a year or so. And then we met up again when she lived in Charlotte, and we stayed in close contact ever since then.
Okay.
And then we both happened to move out here. So
Just coincidentally.
they moved out here first.
Okay. When you say they, who are you referring to?
Her and Chris.
Okay.
They moved out here, I think it was around 5-ish years ago. And then my ex-husband and I moved out here a year afterwards. He's in the military, so we got stationed out here conveniently.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I always thought that she moved out there to be closer. Ooh, just hit myself in the face with the microphone. I always thought that she moved closer to um, Colorado for Shanann. I didn't know that it was because of her husband, or maybe I forgot. I have to be honest. I've only listened to this interview once, twice, maybe at the most.
so you met Chris.
Yes.
So tell me about the first time you met Chris. Do you remember?
Yes, my ex-husband and I went over there for dinner. It was like right when we moved here, so it was 4.5 years ago.
Okay.
Um,
So we're talking late 2013. Does that sound about right?
yeah. I'm trying to think when I moved here.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think it was either 2013, 2014.
Okay.
No, 2014.
2014. Okay.
Yeah, we moved here in August of 2014. So
Okay.
we went over there within like a month or so of us moving here.
Okay. So is that their house in Frederick?
Yes.
Okay. For dinner, you said?
Yep.
Okay. And anything, that was the first time you met Chris?
Mhm.
Okay. Did you go to their wedding?
No.
Okay.
No, I think I was in California at that time, so I couldn't go.
Okay. All right. So what was your first impression of Chris?
He was really nice. He was quiet, but he got along with my ex-husband really well. You know, sometimes husbands are weird with other husbands,
Yeah, right.
but they seemed to get along pretty well.
Mhm.
He seemed attentive and nice.
Okay. Nothing unusual. Nothing struck you as out of the ordinary. Anything like that.
No.
Okay. And see, did they have Bella at that point? Was it Bella?
Yeah, it was Bella.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a baby.
Just brand new then.
Mhm.
Okay. But you've been in pretty constant contact with Shanann
Yes.
before that, so pretty much from early 2000s to the time that they moved out here.
Yeah,
You guys-
yeah. I mean, I talked to her, like, we did wedding planning over the phone. I mean, I've been talking to her pretty much the whole time.
Okay. Do you guys have much interaction with them over the next few years?
Within the last, like,
Yeah, within the
years?
last ever since this first meeting with Chris.
Oh yeah, I saw her more than him, but we pretty frequently would go over there for dinner, or they would have gatherings and stuff all the time. So I was over there pretty frequently.
Okay. If you had to estimate, how many times have you been to their house?
I would say at least once a month for the last 4 years.
Okay, so a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I talked to her pretty frequently. I mean, multiple times a week.
Okay.
So
would you consider you guys pretty good friends?
Yeah.
Did she ever talk to you about Thrive or anything like that?
yeah, that was definitely her her business and her motivation for everything. I did it for a little while. It wasn't really my thing, but
I guess
It's so funny. That was like definitely her jam, but it wasn't mine. It's basically what she's saying.
I'm not real familiar with that. Can you kind of
yeah,
explain to me?
it's like a nutrition lifestyle. So you have these like shakes that you drink every day and these tablets that you take and then these patches.
Hello, Amy. Happy Friday. Fridays are usually, generally, my most favorite days because I feel like everything good that's going to happen happens on Friday. So happy Friday back.
That you wear. And the patches are supposed to be full of vitamins and I don't know, it was expensive to me, so I didn't stick with it. But she seemed to, I mean, I could see where it was beneficial with her because, she has lupus. So she was always on like her medications and she was sick for a while, but this seemed to kind of help her, mentally and physically.
Did you see a difference in her?
Oh yeah, she had a lot more energy and she wasn't as like sick and down, I guess you could say.
Thank you, Amy55.
All right. Was that more of a function of a cleaner lifestyle, or do you think it was attributed to the Thrive product?
Did you say
I think
thank
it
you?
was both. It's kind of like when you work out, you want to eat better. I think it kind of went hand in hand.
Okay. All right. And was Chris using that?
Yes.
Okay. She had him on that.
Junie's here saying thank you too. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's right up into the microphone. Can you say thank you? Where's Junie's beak? Yeah, now you don't want to talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she had everybody on it.
It's kind of the impression I'm getting.
Yeah.
So if you were in contact with her, you were part of it.
I mean, I gave it a shot.
Yeah.
I liked it. I just, I don't know, I'm busy and I just couldn't devote myself to it. So.
Yeah, I'm sure it's one of the things you really fit to.
Yeah, you do.
During any of the times you were over at their house or had interactions with them, did you ever notice any tensions between them? Did they act weird toward each other? Anything like that? Did you ever notice?
No. No, they were kind of that like strive to be couple. They seem to be very equal in the way they do things. Like she would cook dinner, he would clean up. She would feed the kids, he would help get them ready for bed. I mean, it seemed to be a very working relationship. They communicated really well with each other, as far as I could see. They were affectionate with each other. So.
Okay. Did you ever see any change in the level of affection?
Kind of, yes. I don't know exactly when. September. It's somewhere in the last 6-ish months. He was a little more standoffish.
Okay.
So whenever I would go over there, usually, he would be a little more interactive with us.
Yeah.
And then the last, I guess, like 6 months or so, he would kind of.
I agree with you, Amy. Every couple for sure has their off days. Amy says that part, I don't know. Every couple has off days, and that's for sure. No couple is perfect, even though they can appear perfect on Instagram and whatnot.
Stage of himself. He would come in from work and go upstairs and just kind of like distance himself.
Okay. And that was definitely different than what you were used to.
Yeah, because normally he was always around, because we were always hanging out in the kitchen or in the living room with the kids or something like that. And he was always there interacting with all of us. But I would say at least in the last 6 months or so, he was kind of more isolated to himself.
Okay. So let's say if this hadn't happened, would that have caught your attention?
I mean, it did catch my attention, but I've been married before, so I mean, it could have been.
I think she's just basically saying it caught my attention, but like every marriage has their off days.
I mean, and I knew that they were having some issues, but nothing that would warrant any, a worry or anything.
Okay. Could you define issues for me?
His mom was kind of a problem. They were
His
arguing.
mom was?
Yes, they were arguing a lot about his mom.
What was that about?
It's kind of like the disrespect she had towards Shanann.
Okay.
And then her behavior towards Cece and her allergies and the way Shanann would parent. And she essentially was one of those, like, I feel like she's making stuff up kind of people. And so she was trying to prove Shanann wrong. And so there's just a lot of conflict between, obviously because it's Chris's mom and then Shannon's mother-in-law, but there's kind of a disconnect there.
Do you remember any specific incident you could give me where this disrespect would come into play?
It's kind of, she talked about it for the last few years.
Shanann has.
Yeah. His mom didn't go to the wedding, which was kind of an issue for Shanann. And then there was just always a resistance with the two of them. She didn't like talking to her on the phone because she felt like she was always being condescending towards her. And there's just a lot of conflict there.
So it sounds like that probably started early on in their relationship.
Right.
She doesn't show up for their wedding.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty heavy duty there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like the ultimate heavy duty, not showing up for the wedding, don't you guys think?
Did Shanann ever say that really bothered her?
It bothered her, but I think she kind of knew how she was going into the relationship. So I think she thought it was going to get better, but I don't really think it ever did.
Any other issues that you're aware of between Kristen and Shanann?
The finances were obviously an issue. I think she downplayed them a little bit, but it wasn't. I knew they had filed for bankruptcy a couple years ago, but she kind of presented it like, oh, well, it's going to help us, in the long run. And it was, she worked really hard. So at one time, she did have 2 or 3 jobs at a time. So she was doing what she could to help provide for her family.
Ooh.
But she never seemed like stressed out about the finances. She just mentioned that, they got behind on things and, they argued about it sometimes.
Was Chris a spender? Was Shanann a spender? Did they both just let it loose? Or do you know how the dynamics of that?
I'm not really sure about his spending. Hers seemed to be, it wasn't anything excessive. I know that once they had kids, she obviously wouldn't shop for herself the way she used to. They had really nice things. They pretty much had everything that you could imagine you would need.
I'm going to have to disagree and call shenanigans on this part because Shanann's spending was excessive. It really was.
Household. It kind of seemed equal on things. She would buy furniture and he would buy like a new lawnmower or something. So, it seemed pretty equal.
Okay. All right. But that was a source of tension at some point there. Like you mentioned that they had arguments about money.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure the exact nature of the financial issues. I just know I had mentioned my own, and she was like, yeah, no, I understand. We're filing for bankruptcy. So it was kind of she didn't go into too much detail about it, but she did mention that there were some issues going on.
Anything else that you can think of that would be classified as issues, relationship issues?
Not really. I know their communication started getting a little bit, I guess, lackluster in the last few months because she was always in contact with him. So whenever she went anywhere, he always knew, I guess, like where she was. And they were on the phone a lot, especially if she was out of town or something. But he had cut conversations short a couple times. I think it just kind of goes back to like him being distant of sorts.
So did she travel much with the Thrive business?
Yeah, they traveled a lot.
Okay.
they had a lot of trips, and I say they because most of the time he went with her.
Okay.
So it was kind of rare that she would go somewhere without him. Unless it was, I guess, like the Scottsdale trip where it was just like a real quick weekend thing. But most of the time, whenever she went anywhere traveling wise, he went with her. Because it was kind of, they were in the business together.
Okay. And were all those trips for business? Any of those pleasure?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
I guess with Thrive, you earn the trips, so they are pleasure trips, but I'm assuming there's conferences and stuff that go along with it. So I think they're kind of both.
Okay. And my understanding is that she actually had a car that was being paid for through the Thrive. Is it Lavelle or Thrive?
Lexus. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Lavelle owns Thrive.
Okay.
Thrive is like the nutrition steps thing, the brand, I guess, and then the company is called Lavelle. So.
All right. I wasn't sure how that worked.
Yeah, it was one of the levels that she had gotten to. Like you get to this bonus of sorts, and then they send you, I guess, the amount of money of a car payment or something, and then that's how you pay for your car.
Yeah. Okay. I assume she's got a lot of people like working for her, I guess would be
Yeah.
the way to put it.
Yeah. It's one of the, it's like I don't want to say a pyramid scheme because that's not a nice word, but it's
So I've heard it
multi-level
called
marketing.
compared to like Mary Kay.
Yes.
Okay.
Like you start and then you get people underneath you and then they get people underneath them and then it all kind of trickles back to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to the short conversations for the last 6 months or so. Did Shanann ever talk to you about those?
Um,
Or about the fact that the conversations were getting short?
It's something I've noticed, or something I noticed. It would mainly come up, she was never really like, hey, I'm having an issue. It was me talking about, one of my situations. And then she would kind of come in and be like, yeah, we're going through that too. So, I noticed that, he would call or she would call him and he wouldn't answer, or he would be real quick on the phone. And you can just tell she was getting frustrated. Like she would call and ask a question like about dinner or something, and then a few seconds later she'd be off the phone. And you can see that it was just one of those like, what the hell kind of things. And then like he would come home and like I said, he would come in, say hi to the kids, say hi real quick, and then like go upstairs. Whereas before he would come in, hang out for a little while, talk to her, go upstairs and like clean up and then come back down. But that all kind of, the behavior kind of changed a little bit.
Started changing. Mm-hmm. And that's in the 6 month time frame.
Yeah.
Did you ever go with her on any of these business trips?
No.
When was the last time you actually saw Shanann?
Yeah, I think it's sad. I think it's sad when people get slammed for saying the truth in a kind and respectful way. So, I mean, it's hard to miss that she had poor spending habits. I mean, I have poor spending habits, so I can recognize it, right? And we're always trying to do better. And I just always like to think, like, had she lived, maybe she would have done better. Maybe she would have got a hold of her spending, and maybe she would have learned what an MLM truly was. But she didn't get that opportunity. And that's the sad part.
About a week before they went to North Carolina.
Okay, so then what, end of June?
Yes.
Is that right?
I think so. I can't remember. I just know she was trying to get her packing list and everything ready for the trip.
Okay.
So I know it was right before then.
Where did you see her?
at her house.
And how did she seem at that point?
She was good. I brought my kids over there to play with her kids. It was just kind of something we did. I mean, she was, like I said, she was getting all of their stuff ready. She was asking me when I was coming back to Thrive again. She was asking about my parents. She was asking about the baby. Because she said she told me she was going to be finding out what she was having while she was gone. And I was like, well, I'm having a boy, so you have to have a boy. And we kind of just talked about like pregnancy stuff, and she seems normal.
Okay. So she knew at that point that she was pregnant.
Yes.
How far along was she? Did she know?
I don't remember. I have no idea.
Okay. How did she seem about that?
She was good. She was excited. She was happy. She was with the first two. So.
Did she ever say anything about how Chris felt about it? Anything like that?
Yeah, well, when she called and told me that, because when I got pregnant, I joked around and I was like, well, it's time for you to have one. And she was like, yeah, I know, that's what Chris keeps saying. So I know they had discussed having another baby. Cece she was a handful, so Shanann wasn't sure.
I'm just remembering this, that she was the one that pointed out that Chris was the one that said you needed to have another baby. So she was confirming what Shanann had said, was that Chris was the one that wanted another baby. Chris wanted a son, I think.
And then, once I got pregnant and I was like, it's time for you to have a third one, she was like, I know, we're talking about it. And then she calls me all excited and tells me she's pregnant. And so, I was excited.
Well, that makes sense.
She seemed pretty excited too.
Ooh,
But Chris was actually talking about having a third child.
Yes, because he wanted a boy. So that was his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he even joked around. He was like, if we keep having girls, then we'll just keep going until we have a boy.
Why was Cece such a handful? She just an energetic kid, or what?
Yeah, I think because Bella she was really calm, really quiet, and Cece was not by any means. She's a hyper kid. My middle child, or I guess my now middle child, she's the same way. They say your first ones are supposed to be easier, but yeah, she was like fast and just all over the place.
Yeah, as middle kids tend to be that way.
Yeah, it's like they're predestined, but they just know.
Right. Interesting. Okay, so when she goes to North Carolina, do you have contact with her while she's there?
Yeah, we're
Is that true, you
we're
guys?
from the same hometown, so I kind of kept in touch to
Is that true about middle kids, that they tend to be fast? And the only thing I could think of was they have to be recognized, to be remembered. But she wasn't a middle kid when she was fast yet. She wasn't even quite a middle kid.
Who have you seen?
What are you guys? I'm the youngest of three. So I'm the baby in the family.
You gone, how's your family, and go say hi to my mom type stuff.
Is this all text messages, phone calls, Facebook Messenger?
All three, yeah.
Okay.
We kind of communicate in all realms.
Okay. And did she say anything to you about how things are going in North Carolina? I assume you knew that Chris didn't go with her initially.
Yeah, I knew he was coming.
Okay. Was there? Did she ever talk about reasoning?
I think he had to work.
Okay.
Because they had planned this trip for a while, and because Cece's birthday party and everything was kind of falling in that time, so she wanted to have enough time to spend with family and see everybody and plan a party and everything. So I knew Chris was coming, but I knew he wasn't going to be there the whole time.
Okay, and that's just because he had to work.
Right. Yeah. There's no way he could have taken 6 weeks off.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Did she ever talk about any issues that had occurred in North Carolina while she was there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh wow, Lynn.
But with her and Chris, or just in general?
Let's start with her and Chris. Any issues that you mentioned or anything like that? Okay. She was saying, hey, the conversations are still short, or not talking, or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about in general?
I know she had a couple of issues with her mother-in-law. there was, and it revolved around Cece and her allergies. Her mother-in-law she had another grandchild over there, and like Shanann had asked her, make sure that you don't have this list of things. You can't have this in the house, because she just recently found out how severe this allergy was, and
See, I didn't know
she had
that
found out
either.
that the other grandchild had this ice cream
I didn't know that she just recently found out about the allergies. I hope they were an ongoing thing. So I didn't know that either.
that had nuts in it, and her mother-in-law basically told her, well, you can't give her everything she wants. She's not the only kid here. And she's like, it's not a favoritism thing, it's a health and safety thing. And it just kind of escalated from there. I know she had mentioned something about someone trying to give Cece, a peanut to see if the allergy was real or not. I don't know if they actually gave it to her or what happened, but
I did recently see a post that Jamie, Chris's sister, posted on Shanann's page, apologizing that Dalton had gotten the ice cream, and there wasn't a reply from Shanann on it, but I did see that.
it was this huge ordeal. And so she felt that it would be better if the kids didn't go over to see his mom without being supervised, because she clearly can't be trusted with the safety of Cece and her allergies. So I know that was kind of the only thing that she had talked to me about. She was pretty stressed out about it, naturally.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. So that caused quite a bit of consternation.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else in general that you remember?
I love you too, Judy.
No.
What about when Chris actually went to North Carolina? I think that was about the first part of August.
Yeah, I didn't really talk to her a whole lot. Actually, I don't even think I talked to her at all that week.
Is there a reason for that, or just because?
Yeah, I went into preterm labor,
Oh.
so I was in the hospital for about a week or so. She reached out and texted me just to make sure I was okay, but other than that, like, we didn't really have in-depth conversations. And then it was my daughter's birthday, and my mom was here, so it was just kind of, we didn't really talk a whole lot in that time period.
Okay.
I actually didn't talk to her until the Saturday before she went missing.
Okay. And was that a phone call when you talked to her?
Yes.
Okay. Make a note of that. We'll come back to her. Did you see any of her Facebook posts during that first week of August while she was in North Carolina with Chris?
Yeah.
Anything unusual striking about those? Different?
No, I saw they were at the beach, and I saw, that's really all I remember, is actually them being at the beach. Because I didn't know when he got there, but then like I had seen the pictures and stuff, and I saw that he was there, and I was like, oh good, Chris got there, and then that was kind of it.
Okay. And I think that she came back with the kids on the 7th. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it was something like that. Because then she left a few days later.
Okay. Is that when she went to Arizona for the, I guess, dry conference?
Yeah.
Okay. That was just a weekend thing, right?
Yep. I believe she left like that Friday and then came back.
Okay.
Sunday night, Monday morning.
Do you know who she went to Arizona with?
I think the same group of people that I think she normally goes with. I know Nicole was there. I know there's a couple of other girls that were there too. I know Amanda was there, and I know.
I wonder if Lauren ever felt left out, because it seemed like Shanann and her friends really talked about Thrive a lot. And I wonder if Lauren, not being a part of the Thrive community, felt left out. What do you guys think?
I'm pretty sure Cassandra was there too.
Nicole, do you know Nicole?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Nicole Atkinson? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's Amanda?
Amanda Thayer.
Okay. And who's Cassandra?
Cassandra Rosenberg, she I haven't met her yet. I've talked to her a bunch, but she's one of Shanann's friends from, I don't know where they met actually, but she's in the Thrive business too. So
Okay.
she just moved here recently.
Oh, she did? Okay.
A few days ago.
Oh, like literally recently.
Yeah, like right before. It was last week actually.
Okay. So you last spoke to her on Saturday, August 11th. Does that sound right?
12:30. Yes.
Okay. Do you remember about what time that was?
No.
Okay.
No, it was kind of a quick conversation. I asked her when she was coming back, and she told me, she was like, I'll be back late Sunday night, Monday morning. We were supposed to get together that week because she had her gender reveal party coming up, so I was going to help finish off that. We were going to get the girls together for one more play date before everybody went back to school in full swing. And then that's kind of it. It was kind of a quick conversation because I was like, I just want to make sure she was going to be back before I started making all these plans.
Okay.
And then I messaged her Sunday.
On Facebook message?
Yeah. And I asked her, because I had forgotten what she said, and I asked her again when she was going to be back. And she didn't respond.
That was on Sunday?
Yeah. And then.
She did not respond?
No.
Is that unusual for her to not respond?
Yes. But it was also like 2 p.m, and I knew she was traveling, so it wasn't really that big a deal. Monday, I text her.
Let me just do my notes Sunday real quick. So Sunday you messaged her,
Mm-hmm.
but that was the only contact you had or tried to have with her?
Yeah, because I knew she was traveling. I didn't know what time or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to give her time to get home, and then I'll bother her and not want to see her.
Okay. Okay, so Sunday you have this, you try to send her a text message, whatever. You get no response. Monday, do you try to contact her Monday, or did she contact you or anything like that?
No, I knew she had a doctor's appointment in the morning.
Okay.
Usually I talk to her afterwards. So I waited. I text her around like 11:30, 12, and I was like, how did everything go? Like, when do you want to meet this week? And I didn't get a response. And then somewhere around, it wasn't long after that, I got on Facebook and I saw that her brother had said something about that she was missing.
Remember about what time that was?
I can find out.
Sure. So the fact that she didn't respond to your initial text about her doctor appointment, was that unusual?
Yes.
Is she pretty good about returning texts?
Yes. She literally has her phone on her hip or in her hand at all times.
Okay.
Okay, I talked to her brother at my phone doesn't like to keep track of anything. Hold on. It was around 2:00.
Okay. Is that when you saw it on Facebook?
No,
Is that when you talked to it?
I saw it on Facebook. So I talked to him about an hour after I saw it because he was like, hold on, I'll call you.
Okay.
And then I text him my phone number because he called me on Facebook Messenger because he didn't have my number. And then I text him my number at 2. So I had already known.
So about 1-ish?
I'd say like 1:30,
1:30,
2:00,
okay.
yeah.
And his name is Frank.
Frankie.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What did you see on Facebook?
I had to read it again because he said something like, you know, my sister's missing, and there's a picture, and she just left North Carolina. So I thought at first maybe it was one of those like she hadn't talked to him or something, so he was like, oh, my sister's missing because she won't return my calls kind of thing. I went back and read it, and it was legitimately nobody can find her. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So then I sent him a message, I think, on Facebook, and then he called me freaking out. And I was like, well, let me go by there and see what's going on. Because I'm the only person here from North Carolina. So I was kind of, besides Chris, but, you know, I'm kind of their only like go-to at this point. So I was like, let me go out there and I'll let you know what I can find out. But I had to pick my kids up from school, and I didn't end up going out there until almost 5.
Did you try to text Chris at all?
No, I didn't have his number.
Okay.
Otherwise I would have.
All right.
That's why I just went out there.
In the time that you spoke to Frankie and the time you showed up there at 5 o'clock, did you see anything else come across Facebook or talk to anybody else?
No, I
Try to text Shanann?
Yeah, I tried to text her.
Okay.
I called, I think I called my mom or something and let her know what was going on. I talked to a couple of our friends from back home just to kind of get more of an insight of what's going on. When was the last time somebody saw her? Excuse me, stuff like that. I got Nicole's information that day. So I talked to her on Facebook before, but I didn't have her number or anything. So I got that then so I could talk to her, but I didn't end up talking to her until later. Yeah.
So you tried to text Shanann.
Mhm.
Do you remember about when you did that? Do you still have those by chance?
I should. No, I don't know what time. It would have been between 2 and 5.
Okay.
I would have Facebooked her. I don't think I would have texted her. Because Facebook's always the fastest way to get hold of her.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, there's been a lot of
It's okay.
contact.
I'm sure there has.
Last, yeah.
Yeah, no, sure.
I have no idea where it is for you.
It's okay.
There we go. No, the last one I have is from the 12th at 2:30.
Oh, is that when she?
That was when
That's
she didn't
Sunday.
answer.
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't even open it.
Okay. So do you have anything from
Yeah.
the 13th at all?
I don't think so. I don't know how I would have. I don't think I called her. I don't know. Because like I said, I usually don't text her. I don't know. No, because my last text to her was from the 9th. Maybe I called her. I honestly don't remember.
Okay. All right. Well, if you happen to stumble across those,
Yeah, I have
do you-
another cell phone at home. It's
Oh, do
my
you?
kid's phone,
Oh,
so I don't,
okay.
maybe, I don't know why I would have used that one though, but I can still double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you happen to run across those, could you take screenshots
Yeah.
of any times that you tried to get in contact with
Yeah.
them, and then send me those on the email? There's fine.
Okay.
So, yeah, that'd be great. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. So when you went to the house about 5 o'clock, what did you see there?
It was Chris and Amanda and Nick Thayer were there. I'd never met them, so, I mean, he answered the door, gave me a hug. I asked the logical, like, "Are you okay?" question, and he said no. And then, I don't know, I started looking around. So, like, I saw her shoes by the door, and then I saw, like, her suitcase, and then I saw, like, one of the kids' toys under one of the chairs in that living room when we first walk in. And then I looked upstairs, I just glanced upstairs, and he said something like, "I had to close the doors." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "The doors upstairs." He was like, "I had to close all the doors." He's like, "Because I can't handle going up there and seeing everything." And I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "The toys and stuff." So we walk into the kitchen where the Thayers were, and I noticed that there were like toys and stuff in the living room. So my first thought was, so you can see the toys downstairs, but you can't see the toys upstairs. But, you know, I asked him if he had heard anything, and I asked him if he had gone and like looked around at all. And Nick jumped in and was like, "No, the police told us not to go search." And I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "That because they said it wouldn't help." And so then I looked at Chris and I was like, "So you haven't gone and looked anywhere?" And he was like, "No, they told me not to." So that doesn't really seem logical to me, but okay. And he was wearing a tank top shirt, so I kind of naturally was trying to see if I could see anything, and I didn't. I asked him, when was the last time you talked to her? Did she seem weird when you talked to her? What time did she get home? And I was like, well, I'm trying to figure out how this came up, but I was asking what the police had said. And he was talking about how they asked him who.
I think it would be so strange in hindsight to think back to a situation where your friend was missing and you're having a conversation with her husband and he's the one that actually did it in their home. To think back about to that moment must be really scary. It would be scary for me.
Or like if he tried to get a hold of anyone, he was like, "I called everybody I could think of." And I was like, "Well, that's funny because you never called me." And he was like, "Well, I guess I just wasn't thinking." I was like, "Chris, I live 20 minutes away. I've known her the longest. You didn't think to call me." I was like, "Why? I mean, you knew I was going to see her this week. Why wouldn't you just assume, I would have known where she was?" Because I had to find out from her brother, and that kind of irritated me. And he was like, "I don't know. I called everybody I could think of." And when I did end up talking to Nicole, that wasn't true because you didn't call anybody.
I remember her saying in the updated interview that the brother called her. Or did she call the brother? No, the brother called her. So Frankie called her to tell her that Shanann was missing.
From what she said. So that kind of irritated me a little bit because it didn't feel like he was trying of sorts. But I also had to think, okay, well, he's never been in this situation before. I can't really judge his reaction, but he wouldn't make eye contact with me when we were talking. He kind of looked at the floor the whole time. I don't know. I feel like saying he acted weird doesn't really help anything, but he just didn't, I don't know, he just didn't really seem concerned of sorts. Because I was trying to ask all these questions because I was like, well, I'm going to go drive around. And he was like, no, they said that wouldn't help. I was like, well, I'm going to anyway. Like, I can't not at least go try. And I don't know, we kind of stood there awkwardly in the kitchen. I played with the dog for a little bit. The dog wouldn't really go near him, which Wasn't really unusual because the dog didn't really like him anyway.
Okay.
But like, he was especially just not hanging out with him. I asked him if there's anything I could do, if he needed anything. He said no. He said he was gonna try and go back to work on Tuesday, like the next day. And I was like, I don't think you should do that. And he was like, well, I can't stay here. And I was like, I understand that, but I don't think going to work is a good idea. And he's like, well, because I asked him if the police told him to stay at home or if he could, go search or whatever. And he was like, no, they said I could. They said I could go do whatever. That's what he said. He was going to try to go to work. I was like, don't do that. He just kept saying how he didn't want to be at the house. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go drive around, let me know if you need anything, keep in contact, let me know if you hear anything. And then he walked me to the door and hugged me and I left. So that was.
So I think you described him as just kind of being weird. Can you expand on that a little bit?
It wasn't that he was sad. I mean, because that's kind of what I was expecting. I was expecting him to be like visibly like emotional of sorts, but he seemed really just like confused almost. Like I said, he wouldn't make eye contact, so whenever he would talk, he would look kind of down at the floor. So it was almost like he was in a daze and just talking. Like he just wasn't, there was no, what I felt like there's no connection between him and what was going on. He was just kind of physically there and just talking.
Was his demeanor that day different than other days you had seen him?
I mean, he wasn't like smiling and happy or anything, but then again, there was really nobody there. It was kind of, he was just very, what's the word, like nonchalant almost.
Tell me about the shoes at the door.
They were her black flip-flops, and it was like, she kicked them off like right at the door.
Inside the front door?
Mhm.
Okay. And
So it was like a pair of his work boots, and then like her shoes.
does she always wear those shoes?
Uh-huh.
Those
Those are her, yeah, they're her favorite shoes.
Okay.
Yeah, she like orders a new pair like every year.
And I've heard that she wears those constantly.
Yes.
So for them to be at the house and her not to be there, would you say that's unusual?
Yes.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah. No, that's what. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned the suitcase.
Yeah.
Where was that at?
So when you walk in, there's a staircase, and then there's like a little space like beside the staircase, kind of. There's a little table. So in between the table and then like where the stairs begin was like her roll suitcase, and then like a tote bag that were like right up against the wall over there.
Okay. Roll suitcase like a carry-on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What color was it?
Oh God, I have no idea.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Did you see her purse anywhere?
Mm-mm.
Did you see her car in the garage?
No.
Did you go in the garage?
No. It would have, but I felt like it would have been awkward if I was like, hey, can I go look around?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So when we made that comment about closing the doors upstairs,
Mhm.
what was your thought process when he said that to you?
At first I thought it was weird that he had mentioned it because I kind of just looked upstairs, and it's sort of a habit when I go in because like your eye just kind of automatically wants to look around, I guess. And so from downstairs you can see like their bedroom door. You can kind of see a little bit upstairs. So I just happened to just like glance and look around, and the door was closed, and he just volunteered the information that he went up there and closed all the doors because he couldn't go up there, and he was like, I just can't see what's up
Did you
there.
comment about the doors being closed?
No.
Was that unusual for the doors to be closed? Was that something you would even pick up on?
No, no. Like I said, I just happened to glance upstairs, And I looked, and then like I went like I guess I looked back downstairs, and he was like, "Oh, I closed all the doors." I was like, "Okay." And then he just kind of went into the explanation that he couldn't go up there and didn't want to see. Like he said he couldn't handle seeing their rooms or something, and the toys and everything. And I was like, okay.
So the door that you could see that was closed, which door was that?
Their bedroom door.
So the master bedroom?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you see the girls'?
I mean, I would have if I would have looked over, because their rooms are on this side, and the girls' rooms are on this side, and their room is right there. So I would have had to like have looked, because I wasn't like far enough in the house yet. But if I would have kept walking and then looked up, then I would have seen that their doors were closed.
And he mentioned something about their toys.
Yeah, he said he couldn't handle seeing their stuff, or he said going up there, and seeing all of their stuff. He's like, I can't be up there. But then I noticed, like, when we went into the kitchen, I looked into the living room, there was a bunch of toys and stuff in the living room. So my first thought was, so you can handle seeing toys and stuff downstairs, but you can't handle seeing anything upstairs, which kind of, I don't know, irritated me. Not really irritated, but it just didn't make any sense to me.
So at the time he makes that comment to you, does it strike you as unusual, or do you pay attention to it? Do you just kind of brush it off?
No, I definitely paid attention to it.
Okay.
Because up until that point, I mean, nothing was, besides them being missing, nothing was really weird about the situation. And then once I got to the house, and I saw that her shoes were there, and I saw that her luggage was still downstairs, not put away, and then he made that comment like right when I got there. It was just it just didn't feel right.
So something striking you as unusual.
Oh yeah.
About the situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there normally toys scattered around downstairs?
Not if the girls aren't home. If the girls are home, then yeah, there'll be toys and stuff downstairs. But if they're not home, then Shanann cleans up everything. She's kind of CDE free.
Pretty tidy about everything?
Yes.
Okay. I think you mentioned something about you were looking at Chris to see if you could find any injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little more about that.
I noticed that he didn't have sleeves on, so I just kind of, as I was talking to him, I was trying to see if I could see anything. So like I looked at his hands, and he was kind of sitting at an angle, so I could only see like one side of him. So I looked to see if like there were scratch marks or bruises or something on his arms or whatever, and I didn't see anything.
So something's triggering you to look at,
Yeah.
see this.
Yeah.
So you think he's done something?
At this point, I do find his behavior very suspicious.
Okay. Is there anything specifically that's triggering it, or is it kind of a combination of everything?
It's kind of a combination. It was a feeling that I had gotten. His demeanor, his random comment about the doors being closed upstairs, him not wanting to go look for her, everything kind of piled up together. I don't know, it didn't feel right.
Okay. So I've heard from other people that he's not an overly emotional person to begin with, but I think you described him on Monday as not emotional about the situation.
Right.
Could you tell the difference between the two?
I mean, I've never really seen him in an emotional situation before. So normally whenever I would see him, it was for like Super Bowl or a holiday or a dinner party or something like that. So I've never had to see him having to use any emotions besides being happy. Like I said, I can't really judge a person's reaction to a situation that they've never been in before, but when your wife and your kids are missing, you just kind of expect someone to be at least sad or anxious or, just some kind of something. And there was just nothing. There was just nothing there.
So if I were to describe it as basically flat,
Yes.
would that be fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me throw something else. So from your experience, would it be normal for somebody if their kids and wife are missing? Would they be flat like that, or would they be hysterical?
I mean, I feel like there should be a medium.
I feel like you can't say how a person will behave when tragic events happen because you don't know the tragic events that happened in their past and how they react to things. Some people shut down if they've experienced so much tragedy. That's how they react. So knowing that, we know that he did it now, but I still think that in hindsight, you can't predict how somebody's going to react to tragedy.
In between the two, because I think it was late enough to where he wouldn't have been hysterical anymore, but it was still too early for him to have completely shut off his emotions. So I feel like while I was asking him questions or talking about them, like I feel like he should have expressed some kind of something, and I wasn't getting anything from him. He just, I don't know, it's like almost robotic, I guess.
Did it appear that he'd been crying?
No.
Did he expand any more on why he wasn't going to go look for them other than the police told him not to?
That's all he said. Well, that's what Nick said. Because I asked Chris, and Nick answered for him. And I was kind of like, okay, well, I was talking to Chris. So they wouldn't let me, I don't want to say let me, but I wasn't able to talk to him by myself. So
Who else was there with him?
it was Nick and Amanda there.
So they stayed with him
Yeah.
the entire time?
Because I tried to talk to him in that living room area before we got to the kitchen. And then, Amanda came in and like introduced herself. So I never really got, I don't want to say alone time, but like I couldn't talk to him one-on-one. It was the three of them. And I didn't know them, so it was kind of awkward. But he answered the question for Chris about why they weren't going to search. And then when he mentioned wanting to go to work the next day, I was like, so you want to go to work, but you're not going to go look for them. And that was when Nick was like, well, the police told us not to. I was like, I know you said that, but it doesn't mean like you don't have, like that doesn't mean you have to. Like you should at least want to go look. And Chris was like, well, I don't see the point. And then he was like, I can't stay here. So it was really like, it was kind of conflicting because he wanted to leave and go to work because he didn't want to be at home, but he didn't want to leave to go look for them because the police said that it wasn't going to do any good. So.
Chris ever say anything about the girls' medication still being there, anything like that? Talk about the medication for the girls or for Shanann? Were you aware that they were on medication? And that was for?
Well, Cece had her medicine for her allergies, so there was always like the EpiPens. I don't know what all Shanann was on, but I know she, with her Thrive routine, she has like her shake every morning and stuff like that. So all of that was there apparently. She never and there was no dishes in the sink, so she didn't like have her shake that morning. She didn't give the girls breakfast, so that was kind of unusual.
Do you know if she takes any other prescription medications?
Not that I know of. I'm not really sure.
She ever talked about having migraines?
Yeah, she hadn't had them in a while. I think I know when she got pregnant that she was having migraines more frequently, but that happened with her last two pregnancies also.
And my understanding is she recently had some neck surgery. That was last summer, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
What was that about?
I don't even know what it's called. My mom had the same surgery. I don't know. I know that like they went in through the front and they did something with her spine, and then she was in a neck brace for a few weeks.
It was pretty amazing how fast she did recover from that. I know when I had my back surgery, it like took me forever and I gained a bunch of weight and it was just really awful. It's hard to move.
She seemed to recover pretty fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any major complications with that you're aware of?
Mm-hmm. No, she just hated wearing the neck brace.
I'm sure it doesn't seem like a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, she said it didn't go with any of her clothes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So, Anyone else at the house when you were there?
Just that there's Chris and the dog.
When do you leave the house?
I was there for maybe 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. My kids were in the driveway in the car on their tablets, so I didn't want to like leave them for too long, but I didn't want to bring them in either, so couldn't stay for too long. But I mean, I guess at that point there was really nothing I could do.
What do you do when you leave?
I go get gas at a gas station down the street.
Okay.
I kind of took the long way of sorts, so like I kind of drove through the neighborhood a little bit
Because
to see if I could find anything. I drove to where I could see like the back of their house because I couldn't remember if there were houses and stuff back there yet. Because when they first moved out there, it was nothing but a field. They were starting to develop, so I wanted to see kind of what was going on back there, just to look around to see if I could see anything, just because I wanted to find them. So I drove around the neighborhood, went and got gas, and came back to my house. I thought about going to talk to the people at Starbucks to see if maybe they had seen something. Then I was like, well, they would have had a shift change, so it would have been important.
is she regular at Starbucks?
No, she didn't even drink coffee, but you never know. I don't know. There's so many like fields and stuff out there. I was like, there's no way I could go and search all this by myself. So I was trying to think of like who I could call to like come back out there and maybe look in the area. There's a lot of land out there.
Right. So you went and got gas, drove around in the neighborhood there. What do you do after that?
I went back to Aurora. I called her brother and told him that I had just left the house. I talked to him for a little while. I asked if they needed anything. I think I probably got back on Facebook to see if anybody had said anything.
See anything else on Facebook that anybody had of interest?
No, it's more the reposting of his like my sister is missing type thing. It spread pretty quickly. I don't know, I called my fiance and was like, excuse me, I was like, Shannann's missing and it's not the house. And then he was mad because I'm not there by myself. And I was like, well, it's Chris, like he's not gonna do anything to me. Then I don't know, I went home and I think I called another one of our friends from back home to see if she had heard anything. And then I kind of just stayed on my phone. And
do you have any contact with anybody else involved with this? Talk to Chris at all?
I didn't talk to Chris after that day.
Okay.
I talked to Nicole the next day.
That was the 14th?
Yes.
I did hear her say in the recent interview that I think she either has spoken to Chris since he's in prison or she went to visit him, one or the other.
What did Nicole talk about?
I asked her how Shanann was when she dropped her off. I asked her, was she sure that she made it inside? And she said yes. She said she watched her walk in and close the door. I asked her if like her and Chris had been fighting that she knew of. I mean, kind of all the like standard questions. Like, have you heard from her? When was the last time you talked to her? And then she did the same to me. When was the last time you talked to her? Did she say anything to you? And then we kind of both started to like worry more after talking to each other because she usually talks to one of the two of us at least every day. And so now that it had been pretty much 24 hours since we knew that she had at least gotten home and nobody had heard from her, we automatically knew something was wrong. Because even if hypothetically she had decided to run away and take the kids, she would have at least contacted her family to say, hey, I'm okay. I just had to get away. She's not that kind of person, but she would have contacted somebody. And so that's when we knew that something just wasn't right.
Let me back up to Monday when you go to the house. So we talked quite a bit about Chris and the toys in the house and suitcase. Anything else at the house unusual that you noticed? Anything strike you as unusual?
No,
Place?
It was really quiet. No, it wasn't. No.
Okay. So on Tuesday, you and Nicole talk, and are you convinced at this point that something has happened?
Yes.
What about Nicole? Is in the same boat, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. What do you do at this point?
We were trying to coordinate getting a search party together. We didn't know really where to start because there wasn't really, we don't have a whole lot to go on, so I didn't know where to start. And we were waiting to see what happened because we knew the dogs were coming out to the house. We saw that Chris was doing an interview. I talked to her mom a few times to see if maybe she could tell me where to go look. It was just kind of a like wanting to do something but not really knowing where to start kind of situation.
Do you guys actually get a search party organized at all?
No, we never got that far.
Okay. Are you still trying to contact Shanann?
I'm not at this point. I knew the police had her phone, so there was really no point trying to contact her when she doesn't have her phone.
Right.
And I knew that on Monday.
You knew the police had her phone on Monday.
Uh-huh.
Okay. How did you know that?
I don't know. I think either her mom told me or her brother, because I'm assuming they had talked to Chris or they talked to Nicole because Nicole was there when the police got there. So I'm pretty sure it was her mom that told me that they had her phone.
Yeah.
So once I found that out, there wasn't even enough point trying.
Did Shanann wear a smartwatch?
Yes.
Did she have that on her all the time?
Yes.
Did you ever go back to the house?
No.
Anything else about Tuesday that you remember doing specifically to try to find Shanann and the girls?
No, I started getting all of the phone calls and stuff from reporters on Tuesday.
How did they put you together with her?
I had made a post on Facebook. If you see anything, if you know anything, blah blah blah. I don't know. I don't even know how they got my phone number.
They're good at it.
Yeah, it's their job.
Yeah.
So a lot of Tuesday and Wednesday was not talking to reporters. So it was a lot of like random texts and phone calls and being driven crazy by all of them.
Sure.
So watching the news a lot, seeing if we could find out anything.
Are you talking to any of her friends?
I kept in contact with Nicole. I talked to her friend Christina that lives in Hawaii because she talked to her all the time. So I was, we were communicating back and forth. She was like, let me know if you hear anything. I'll let you know if I hear anything. Checking on her parents, making sure they're okay. Her best friend in North Carolina, I talked to her a lot. There's a lot of phone calls and texts and I don't know anything. Those are frustrating days.
Sure, I can understand that. Okay, so anything else about Tuesday that kind of stands out for you?
No, no. I think we saw the interview Tuesday night.
What was your impression of the interview?
It was disheartening, I think, because he was still kind of emotionless, but the emotion that he did have was not the right emotion. I feel like he was almost cocky in the interview, and that was kind of alarming to me. I don't think that was, like I said, there's no like correct behavior for this situation, but that was a wrong one. And a lot of like some of the things he was saying didn't make sense.
Was there something specific that
I mean,
made sense for you?
no, it was little things like he called everybody he knew, which isn't true. He rushed home as soon as he found out, which isn't true. Just the way he said some things, or the things that he wasn't saying, it was just all very. It's like he had tried to like rehearse it, but he didn't do it right, so it came out odd. It's like he was trying to convince everyone that it definitely had nothing to do with it, but he was conveying it in like a happy way. I don't know, it was weird.
Anything else about the interview?
No, just no. I don't think he should have done an interview, but it's not my call.
Yeah. Okay. So what are you thinking about the entire situation at this point?
At that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. At that point I had a very strong feeling that he had done something. But yet, it's still kind of hard to believe because he just isn't that person. So, but the person that I knew and the person that was kind of on TV are two completely different people. Like his behavior and his mannerisms and everything were just really different from the person that I had known. So I was trying to figure out, like, does he just know something or did he actually do something? And that's what, we were kind of trying to work through Tuesday and Wednesday. Because it's still one of those, you don't want to believe that he actually had anything to do with it. So we didn't know anything. But from what we did know, everything kind of points to, it seems like he had something to do with it.
Are you talking to your fiance about this?
Yeah.
What's he saying?
He was pretty surprised at the whole situation. He had met Chris a few times and they got along really well. Because I think the three of them were like the only Steelers fans in Colorado, so they got along really well. He kept asking me, he's like, do you think he did it? Do you think something happened? What do you think? I'm like, I don't know. There's nothing telling, like, there's no evidence saying yes, but my gut feeling is different.
So let's go to Wednesday. What do you do Wednesday? Anything that you can think of that's related to this? Are you talking to friends more?
Yeah, it's mainly deflecting reporters and talking to friends, kind of. It's been a couple days now. Like, what do we do next? How long is this going to last? It was either Tuesday night or Wednesday. I set up a fundraiser to, help, because I know her parents wanted to come out here because I would want to be out there. So I was trying to help raise money to get them out here so they could help with the search or, anything like that. So I was getting the fundraiser stuff set up, trying to like talk her mom through bank accounts and stuff like that.
That's a GoFundMe.
It was the Facebook fundraiser.
Oh, Facebook fundraiser.
Yeah.
So let me back up just a smidge. So prior to Wednesday, what do you hear as far as progress of the investigation? Anybody telling you anything? You're hearing from the police?
Yes and no. I talked to Amanda Thayer. I don't remember when the docs came out. That had to have been Tuesday. I was on the phone with her because she was still with Chris at the house. And she said that the dogs had just left. And I was like, well, what happened? And she said they didn't find anything. I said, well, how do you know? And she was like, because they didn't say anything. And I was like, well, they're not going to tell you if they found something. And she was like, well, Chris isn't a suspect, so they would tell him. I was like, okay, clearly you don't know how these things work, but okay. I was like, so you're sure they didn't find anything? And she was like, no, they didn't find anything. And I was like, okay, so what else? She was like, they searched the house, they did a thorough search of everything. And she was like, they didn't find anything, so we're going to take Chris to our house. I was like, okay. And that I kind of, like, knowing the little things that I know.
Did they really do a thorough search, though? Do you guys feel like they did a thorough search? I don't.
About law enforcement and stuff, I feel like when they don't tell you anything, then that's when there is evidence. So in my mind, them saying nothing to him said more. So I kind of started to, like, internally freak out because I feel like there was more going on than what they were letting out. I know there's something about the bed sheets not being on the bed. And that was a huge red flag to me.
Who told you about the bed sheets?
Nicole.
Did she tell you how she knew that?
She was inside the house.
Did she comment about that being unusual?
Only after I said something.
What did you say to her?
I said, that's not right. And she was like, I know. Just because of how Shanann is, she wouldn't, like, her bed is never, like, stripped of sorts. So, like, if she's remaking her bed to wash her sheets, she makes her bed again. Like, she would have just left it all unmade like that.
So her bed's always made?
Yes.
What about the kids?
Always made. Sometimes, like, it's either right after they get up or as soon as she gets home from taking them to school. But, I mean, she does all of her cleaning and stuff in the morning, so her house is always really clean. I don't know how she does it.
Okay. All right, so Wednesday, more of the same, docs and reporters, talking to friends.
Yeah, I had the Facebook page set up. Excuse me. So I had like the fundraiser, the Facebook page. I don't know. Was this kind of a blur? It was just my phone was just going off like crazy. Just constant people and questions and
That's kind of why I wanted you to come down here in person to see
Yeah.
you, but we weren't trying to jack with you.
yeah. No, I understand. I have to be careful when I talk to you.
I understand that. So, let's see. Anything else about Wednesday that stands on your mind?
Huh.
Okay. So I assume at some point on Wednesday you hear about Chris being arrested.
Yes, her mom called me.
Her mom called you.
Mhm.
Okay. And what's your initial reaction to that?
I think I had a panic attack.
So,
Not like a severe
Forced
one,
breakdown.
but yeah, because up at that point I'd been like, you don't know what's going on. Like they're just missing at this point. But then once he gets arrested, kind of makes everything a little bit more real to the worst case scenario. So I talked to her mom, and then maybe 10 minutes later, it was like all over the news that he was arrested and had confessed. And then
what does her mom say to you?
she tells me that they had taken Chris into custody, and I said, for what? And she said on suspicion of, I think she said on suspicion of murder. She said he just said that he knew where they were. She said, but the news is going to report something different. So I knew what I was going to see before I saw it, because the news and everybody was saying that he had confessed to murdering all three of them. My understanding was he had only confessed to knowing where they were. So they were still not alive, but he wasn't saying, yes, I did it. So even then, it still could have been like anything at that point. I don't know, it was pretty shocking. Even though like I think I had known and I had tried to prepare myself for him to be arrested in connection with all of this, it was just still kind of like it's Chris. It just didn't really make any sense. It still doesn't really make any sense, but
Sure. And I assume you've seen all the subsequent stories that have
Yes.
come out, and some true, some not so truthful. So I assume you saw one specifically related to him dating somebody at work.
yes.
Tell me about that. Did you have any knowledge of that? Did Shanann ever?
She
Suspect
had
that?
made jokes kind of about just like if he didn't answer a text or something, she's like, oh, he's probably with his work girlfriend. But I never really like probed her about it. In those 6 months where his behavior had kind of started to get a little bit distant, I thought about that, and then I thought about, well, maybe he was having an affair. But even then, it still it seemed weird because he didn't really seem like the affair type of person. 6 months ago, if he would have asked me if he was having an affair, I'd be like, absolutely not. But since seeing his behavior change, and I could see it, it just, I don't know, still doesn't really make sense.
So knowing what you know now, looking back at what he was as his behavior,
Yes,
does that
it does.
equate?
Yes.
Is there something specific that sticks out in your mind, or just that generality?
No, I think it's just a general like distancing. It's typical behavior. I think like not as much affection, and the distancing and the short conversations, and most guys pretty much accept him the same. So.
All right, so other than the joking, did Shanann ever talk to you about that? Confide in you that she thought he was having an affair? That.
No.
A lot of people say that women can sense affairs, and I think that we can to a certain extent, but I have to say that I didn't sense my ex-husband's affair. It was with one of my friends until the very end when he started acting different. When you start acting different, I feel like women's intuition kicks in and we start, comparing it to how you used to be or what you used to be. And my ex-husband was a lot like Chris. He was like he fawned all over me, wanted to take care of me, help me with everything. If I asked for something, he jumped and he did it. But he wasn't socially inept like Chris. But and in the end, I still think my ex-husband's a good guy, even though he did do what he did. I think people make mistakes, but I feel like women, we can start to notice things very quickly and very easily because we are creatures of intuition, in my opinion.
Anything we haven't talked about that you think we should? Is there something we need to cover?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Even if you think it's outlandish. Anything like that.
Not that I can think of. No. It's still kind of a hard thing to wrap your head around kind of situation. I don't know. Just I feel like it was extremely out of character for him. So it's just hard to think like I don't know. Like I think about the last 6 months and I'm like, well, maybe we could have seen something coming, but he wasn't abusive. There was no, and I saw her enough to know, if something was happening and it just wasn't, I don't know. I think it would have been different if maybe they would have had kind of a volatile marriage or there would have been constant fights or something, but that's just not how it was.
So I know that she put a lot of her life on Facebook.
Mhm.
Was what she portrayed on Facebook pretty consistent with what reality was?
Yeah. And I think outside looking in, it's really hard to assume that because people that don't know her, would say that maybe it is a front that she's trying to portray her perfect marriage, but that's, that is how it was. He was very interactive with the kids and with her. He was very attentive. He was one of those like worship the ground that all three of them walked on kind of husbands. So that's why when they initially went missing, there's no way in hell Chris could have had anything to do with it because that's just not the like family person that he was. But then, going to see him and going to talk to him, and then as things started to unfold, it was like they were just two completely different people. I don't know.
Obviously, your impression changed very quickly.
Yeah, and I didn't want it to change because I've known him for almost 5 years now, so and it just doesn't add up. So, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. If you can't think of anything else, I think we'll call it good for now.
Okay.
If you think of something, would you either give me a call or send me an email?
Yeah, and I'll try to find that.
Yeah, if you have
from the 13th.
Yeah, if you would, I would appreciate that
Yeah.
too. So let me put my cell number on the back
Okay.
right there for you.
Okay, that was the end of the interview. That was the interview with Lauren Arnold by a CBI agent back in 2018. I also have a article. She did an interview with 9 News. And I thought we would take a look at that before we go. If you guys could give this live a thumbs up, helps us go out into the algorithm, bring more people back to the party. It's just a free way to help my channel out, and it's really appreciated. Oh my God, that sounded so flat. I'm sorry, you guys. If you guys could give this live a thumbs up, it would really help me out a lot. I'm having a hard time sounding happy. Okay, let me get this on the screen. And here we go. So this is from 9 News. They interviewed Lauren, and the headline reads, "Childhood friend talks about Shanann and the girls." Shanann's childhood friend describes her as the friend everyone wants to have. Lauren Arnold spoke to 9 News about Shanann and her daughters and says their story is the one that matters now. Shanann, Bella, and Cece Watts were first reported missing from Frederick on Tuesday by a friend. A day later, Shanann's husband and the girls' dad was arrested for 3 counts of first-degree unaliving. Now, one of Shanann's childhood friends, Lauren Arnold, wants to make sure everyone knows who the pregnant mother and girls were. Toddlers Bella 4 and Cece 3 had big but different personalities. Cece's a little firecracker. She's a big ball of energy, said Arnold. Just the complete opposite of Bella, but just as sweet. Bella, she said, was quiet and shy. Bella was excited about having a baby, so she was constantly rubbing her stomach and talking about her stomach, described Arnold, while Cece liked climbing on chairs and pulling stuff down. They were all so excited about having a boy, Lauren told Nine News. Shanann was supposed to have a gender reveal this week. Lauren and Shanann met in high school back in 2000. They've been friends since. They spent holidays together and had many play dates. Lauren has two girls, and is also expecting a little boy. Oh, I didn't know that too. Wow. And was Nicole Atkinson pregnant at the time of this, or did she get pregnant a few months later? I don't know that either. They were so excited about having a boy, Lauren told Nine News. Shanann was supposed to have a gender reveal this week. Lauren and Shanann met in high school back in 2000. They've been friends since. They spent holidays together and had many play dates. Lauren has two girls and is expecting a little boy. She was just one of those people where if you were upset and you need to talk, you could call her, said Lauren. She was just the epitome of a really good friend. Shanann was a Steelers fan, a great cook, and had time for everything. Somehow she would be able to work the whole time and also keep her house spotless and her kids played with, she said. There were like four of her sometimes. I don't know how she did it. I envy those people that I can go, 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 go. Like, I wish I could go, go, go. And in my early years, I really tried to, because I come from a family where you were constantly doing something up. If you were sitting, you need to be doing something. You need to be, keeping yourself busy type deal. And then when autoimmunes start to hit you and you keep trying to keep up with it, it makes you sicker and sicker and you feel worse and worse. And, you think you're a horrible person. I still feel horrible about not being able to go, 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 go. So I envy those of you that can do that. It's like a real talent. I'm not kidding either. Um, Shanann was a Steelers fan, a great cook, and had time for everything. Somehow she would be able to work. Oh, I already read this. Lauren said Shanann was happy, energetic, and very loving person. They had to watch ahead of them. They had too much ahead of them. She was so excited about having another baby, and there was so much more that she wanted to do and she wanted to see, she said. They don't get to do any of that now, and it's not fair. And that's the end of the article. So that's all I have for today on the Lauren Arnold. I'm going to go. I hope everybody has a wonderful time or wonderful day. I'm coming to you today on Facebook. Hi, Facebook. I'm coming to you on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. I'm coming to you on X. Hi, X. And hi to everybody in the replay crew. If nobody's told you this today, I'm going to tell you this. I'm so grateful for you, and I love you so, so much. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.